My name is Akeshwaran Kanagasingam, and I'll be talking about the introduction of the great epic film called The Great Expectation. This modern adaptation of Dickens' classic coming of age story sees the young and naive Finn who falls in love with this particular girl called Estella. Estella is raised with the strict intention of breaking men's hearts. When he is grown up and living in New York, having to become a successful painter, Estella reappears in his life and Finn falls deeply in love, knowing all the while that it is a feeling that can be never be returned. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Kunki, and now I'll be talking about the language from the movie The Great Expeditions. Great Expeditions, written by Charles Dickens in the 19th century, uses a formal and also a descriptive language with a complex vocabulary reflecting the era in which it was written. The writing style is dense and also it often requires close attention to understand the meaning of the text. The language that has been used in the Great Expedition is also characterized by long and complex sentences, which can be challenging for some readers in this generation. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Nantina. I will be talking about the social issues in the movie Great Expectations, which are social injustice, child poverty, and lack of education. The realism in this movie is portrayed clearly as Pip is lower in the social scale than Estella, and he climbs a metaphorical ladder to find happiness in the society. The movie also the movie also continues outlines child poverty and abusive childhood of Pip, where he is an orphan who lives with his heavy-handed sister. The movie is unlike others, where it doesn't revolve around love, romance, and fairy tale with grand mythical creatures and solely displays realism events. Thank you.
A scene from The Great Expectation. Hope you enjoy it. I'll be playing the character of Philip Philip, who is also known as Pip. Pip is a young boy who is naive, ambitious, and also naive and kind, who has ambitiously boyish kind of behavior. Throughout the story, you can see Pip, a small boy who has a childlike behavior, who gets matured over time and becomes from a child to a man. Thank you.
Hello, I'm playing the character of Estella from the movie of The Great Expedition. Estella is also known as Miss Estella Vision, wins Pete's deepest love by practicing deliberate cruelty. Unlike the warm, winsome, she is a kind heroine of a traditional love story.
Hello, I will be playing the character as Miss Havisham, who is a wealthy spinster and insists on wearing a wedding dress her whole life. And she adopted a girl who is Estella and taught her how to break a young man's heart.
What's your name, boy?
Pip, man. Pip. My name is Pip.
Which boy? Come along, boy. Keep it out. This door, boy.
It's up to you, man.
Can you see? I'm not going in.
Come in. Who is it?
Pip, man. Pip. It's the Palmer Church boy. I came to play.
Come here, let me look at you. Look at me, boy. Look at me. You are not afraid of a woman who has never seen the sun since you were born. Do you know what I got here?
Your heart.
Broken heart.
Good day to our respected madam. So we'll be presenting the novel The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. We'll be explaining the language used, themes present, the economy and social issues that are present by that novel written by Mark Twain.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Harshini Mittal, and I've chosen Aunt Polly to dress as a character.
Hi everyone, I have chosen Becky Thatcher and I will be explaining a little bit about her character in this story.
And the story begins with the character I'm dressed as, Tom Sawyer. My name is also Sophia. So my character today, obviously, is Tom Sawyer, who is a young, mischievous boy. He's very persuasive and has a pull towards escapism. He lives in St. Petersburg, Missouri. He just loves skipping school and chores, imagining himself as a pirate, a robber, or any other figure with his friends. One day, he and his friend Huck witnessed Injun Joe murder Dr. Robinson, but somehow Muff Potter was arrested. Tom and his friends then took flight when Joe disappeared and only came back to attend their own funerals, only to spot and overhear Joe in the cave they were exploring. They managed to escape somehow, and then the cave was sealed, but then it left Injun Joe to die of starvation. Tom and Huck then find Joe's treasure in the cave, became a celebrated pair in St. Petersburg. So the first genre in this novel that I will be breaking down and explaining is the language. The language and structure used in this novel are Southern dialects. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer includes accurate Southern dialect, meaning that characters speak in different ways so as to capture their geographic location, class position, racial identity, and more. Y'all, which means you all, is an instance of Southern jargon. Tom Sawyer's character speaks in an informal dialect packed with Southern and conventional idioms. American English is the second category under this genre of language. So the language mostly used in this novel is the standard American English, as the writer Mark Twain was an American humorist, novelist, and also a travel writer. The third category would be figurative language. So there were actually 10 types of figurative languages that were found in this novel. There were similes, personifications, metaphors, synecdoche, allegory, paradox, metonymy, hyperbole, symbol understatement, and also irony, of course. In this novel, the realism relates to the languages used by many people of today's generation. Moving on to the next presenter to begin with her part.
Right, so I will be explaining Becky Thatcher's character. So in the Adventures of Tom Sawyer, which is written by Mark Twain, Becky Thatcher is Tom's love interest and was a positive, impactful character in Tom's future, where she taught Tom how to work hard and persevere through the obstacles to achieve his goal. And adventure, exploration, and social maturity are central themes in the American experience. At the core of the Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Tom is an adventurer, an explorer, and a thrill seeker driven by his ambition and his sense of nobility. And he is a rebel. The adults who surround him are constantly concerned by his mischievous antics. All that is presented with humor and affection. There is not a trace of judgment in Twain's portrayal of him. And when the novel opens, Tom is engaged in and often the organizer of childhood pranks and make-believe games. As the novel progresses, these initially consequent childish things take on more and more gravity, which means he also finds himself in predicaments. He must put his concern for others above his concern for himself, such as when he Becky's punishment and when he testifies at Injun Joe's trial. As Tom begins to take into how others instead of himself, he shows himself some increasing maturity, competence, and moral integrity. It is emphasized that social maturity Tom has gone through. In the Adventures of Tom Sawyer, there are economic injustices as well, due to the matriarchal society, custom of slavery, and other immoral practices of that era. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer due to the next presenters.
To present about my character, Aunt Polly, is a relation to Tom Sawyer, and she is the aunt to Tom. And she is very, they have a love-hate relationship where Aunt Polly really does care a lot for Tom Sawyer, but she also has a really back-minded concept and ideology in bringing up children. So she doesn't really like Tom Sawyer's mischievous act, and he always gets in trouble with Aunt Polly. So the author satirizes the decadent matriarchal society, custom of slavery, and other immoral practices of the era. For instance, in the story where Dr. Robinson's Muff Potter and Injun Joe meet in the cemetery. Dr. Robinson was murdered by Injun Joe, but in the trial of Muff Potter, Injun Joe succeeds in escaping from the courtroom, which exposes the horrible condition of the legal system in contemporary America. And that is one of the social issue that is found in Mark Twain's story, The Adventure of Tom Sawyer. Twain's harshest satire exposes the hypocrisy and often the essential childishness of social institutions such as school, church, and the law, as well as public opinion. Social authority does not always operate on wise, sound, or consistent principles, and that institutions fall prey to the same kind of mistakes that individuals do. Though the novel is critical of society's hypocrisy, that is, of the frequent discord between its values and its behavior, excuse me, the novel demonstrates the potential dangers of subverting authority just as it demonstrates the dangers of adhering to the authority too strictly. In conclusion, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer was a great movie to create awareness about the social issues during the American Realism era. This movie is also important for our future generations to remember and understand the importance of the Realism era.
That is all from us.
Realism is a kind of literature that presents ordinary day to day experiences as they occur in real life situations. During the Victorian era, realism was particularly prominent in British literature. Charles Dickens and Mark Twain were big proponents of realism. The language used in the Great Expectations movie is Old English dialect, such as the Cockney dialect. In The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, the language used is American English. The theme in the movie Great Expectations is social class. This is because the lower class has to work harder to gain wealth. In the movie The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, the theme is realism, the showcase of reality among middle class society and real life experiences. The setting in the movie The Great Expectation is in London, whereas the setting in the movie of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer is at St. Petersburg, Missouri. In the movie The Great Expectations, the economy is high, where display of power and money is evident. In Adventures of Tom Sawyer, the economy is middle class and those have to work hard to prove themselves and gain wealth. Social issues such as child poverty and lack of education is evident in both of the movies. These are the costumes worn in realism era. This is an example of the costume Becky Thatcher from The Adventures of Tom Sawyer that would wear.